when we were exploring the system in previous lectures, we may have encountered a problem when trying to examine a file, for example, such as the shadow files, for example, file and etc shadow, and here as you can see a regular file, no read permission, and you can also here less, we can also here shadow, and as you can see here the permission is denied. So the reason for this error message is that as a regular users we do not have permissions to read this file. In the Unix security model, a user may own files and directories. So when a user owns a file or directory, the user has control over its access. User can in turn belong to a group consisting of one or more users who are given access to files and directories by their owners. In addition to granting access to a group, an owner may also grant some set of access right to everybody. So when which in Unix terms is referred as the world. So to find out information about your identity, you can use the ID command, and as you can see here in this case in the output, when user accounts are created, users are assigned a number called ID, which is then, for the sake of the humans, mapped to as a username. So the user assigned a group ID here, GID, and may belong to additional groups. So this example is from our Kali system. On other systems such as Fedora or Ubuntu, the output may look different. So as we can see, the user ID and group ID, GID here, actually let me write that down here so some of you can also understand. So user ID means user, UID means user ID, and GID means group ID. Here, so as you can see here, in your system this might be different. For example, in your system it might be the 500 or different numbers. So this is simply because if you are getting different numbers in Fedora starts its numbering of a regular user accounts from 500. So in Fedora it starts from 500, while the Ubuntu and Debian based system, in this case Kali Linux is Debian based, it started from 1000. So we can also see that the Kali Linux user belongs to a lot more groups, and this has to do the way Ubuntu or Debian or Kali Linux manages privileges for system and devices. So where does this information come from? So like so many things in Linux, it comes from a couple of text files. So user accounts are defined in etc passwd. Actually, let me write that down here so you can use. So actually let's write clear etc and passwd. So all of these accounts are defined in the etc passwd file, and the groups are defined in etc obviously G group file group. So when a user or user accounts and groups are created, these files are modified. These files are modified along with the etc shadow. So which and actually etc shadow file it holds the information about the user password. So for each user account, for example, etc passwd files, defines user login name, login name, user ID, for example, in this case, and as you can see, user ID, group ID, account real name, home directory, the login shell, and so on. So if we examine the contents of etc passwd file, the user login name or actually etc passwd and actually etc passwd, not w here. So here, if we examine this and the etc passwd and etc group, we notice that besides the regular user accounts, there are accounts for super user. In this case, super user accounts. Here, user ID is 0. Super user accounts has 0 super ID, and various other system users. So in next lecture, you will learn about the reading, writing, and executing in Linux. So I'm waiting you in next lecture.